If you've ever felt like the third wheel, this podcast is for you.
If you love Wheel of Time, this podcast is for you.
If you're bored and have nothing better to do, this podcast is for you.
Join Rob,
Megan,
And Jen,
in celebrating the Wheel of Time
and its statistically best fandom,
and ridiculous gaming skills,
and probably a few cocktails.
and find out which one of them will be the third wheel this time.
This is
three-wheeling.
Hello, everybody!
Hello.
I'm looking very awkward here because we all decided... No, not all of us. Jen decided last second to braid because Meg had braided.
I decided. Well, okay, yes. Jen
Yes.
decided last second to break because I
Yes.
braided for the two rivers. So
Yes.
And then
Which
Rob's
is
like,
always
oh
smart.
shit, he's got long hair. Oh, well, no, I'm talking about myself in the third person there. I said, oh, I've got long hair, I can braid my hair too. And then I realised I'd never once ever tried to braid my hair. And this is now really weird because I can't do it the way I normally do the hair in a ponytail.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. It looks good.
I've tried to do a braid. If this works, I may do it more often. So, anyway, how are we both doing?
So good.
Yeah?
Taishar Loial. Taishar Loial.
What happened to Loial?
He became a hero of the horn as well.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
That's what I hear. I have to, fair enough. Not that I haven't watched it a few times, but I have to listen to it again with that in mind because I did not pick that up.
Oh, I did immediately.
I heard it and I was just like, oh yeah, he's being very heroic. Didn't think he's going to be a hero of the horn now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. Right, whatever that is, that's oh Jesus Christ, no, not what that is. It's terrible at the end.
No, it looks good. It looks good. It looks good.
There we go.
Mine looks stupid at the end too because my hair's so thin. It's like
There we go.
little rat tail.
I think there's hair trapped in it, but I
Yeah.
think I pulled that off.
No,
No,
you did.
nice, you did. First
Okay.
grade.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the women's
Okay.
circle.
Everybody tug. Everybody tug. Tug, tug, tug,
Tug,
tug, tug.
Oh Jesus, how did she do that in the books? That hurts. Right. Okay.
Also,
well,
I'm drinking out of a handcrafted mug in honor of Two Rivers craftsmanship as well.
Love that.
Very
Today.
nice.
That was my Two Rivers. Ignore the fork root T-shirt because that's not Two Rivers.
It was quite an episode this week. It was Goldeneyes.
It was Goldeneyes.
Is this your favorite episode, Rob?
Do you know what? I think it might actually be my favorite episode.
Oh, I was not expecting anything less.
No, but there have been some really great episodes so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
know?
this one, it's yours. You know, it's for you.
Yes, I commissioned it. Dave and I
Yes.
sat down and wrote it together. Marcus and I had brainstorming sessions. Yeah, the whole it's mine. Yes.
I think David also would agree with that. I think he said after he was like, "Please don't be mad at me," but I think this is my favorite episode. And I was like, "What? Why would I be mad at you?" It was excellent. It was wonderful, and it was also, I felt like, a great payoff to the promise that hadn't paid off yet. I mean, a lot of people were like, "We haven't had enough Perrin. We haven't had enough Perrin." Megan and I talked about that midweek, but I was glad we were just in the Two Rivers the whole time.
Mm-hmm. No, it would have taken you out of it, and you wouldn't have felt the stakes and the idea of we may not come out of this. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
and
you
with
get
the
to be in it.
Waygate is a B story, we had something to cut away to, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to point out that pretty much this was, Rand's episode still had moments that, were not Rand. In fact, I had a reasonable number of them actually, because you had some Avienda stuff, and then you had some arrivals. Was it like arrival stuff, and then they went off? Yeah. Them arriving, we had all of it with Savannah and
Couladine
such.
and Savannah, which just stole the show. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had some, Moraine in the rings, and then we had Lan and Egwene waiting for them and things like that. This was like Perrin.
with a little bit of Bane and Chiad and Loial,
Yeah, a little bit.
and some Alana and Maxim too.
And I wouldn't even say that little bit of Bane and Chiad. I was like, I've been in love with them. I've been in love with them since day one, but this season in particular, I've just been like, they give me life every time they look at somebody and look at each other and make a little hand talk and blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty sure at the very end, they said, "May you always have water and shade." That was the hand talk at the very end. Water, and then shade.
Wait, no, because didn't they go like that up and then down? So water
They went like this and then this. Or I also thought maybe it was the last embrace of the mother.
It could be. But if like the hand gesture going up was like water, as in water coming up from the ground, and then shade your hand over shade. Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
That's what I thought.
Sherbo Mango is watching today along with Sharon, and hey mom.
Hi mom.
And she says I've watched all of Rob's reactions. It's definitely his favorite. Yes,
I agree. Yeah, for sure. Like when Perrin was like dual wielding, you could barely hold it together.
Oh, yeah. I was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my neighbors could hear me, and we don't share walls.
It was so good. It was so good. It was wonderful. I loved it. And I loved.
Okay, before we get too much into it, though, I'm getting thirsty. But continue. Your thoughts.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Megan,
before we get into that, Jen, do you know what time it is, Jen?
I think I do know what time it is, Rob.
Yeah, it's time to ask Meg. Well, that was bad. What?
That's fine.
Meg?
We can ask Meg.
We can ask.
Okay.
It's time to ask. What's Meg drinking?
Meg is drinking, and this is for you, Rob. Goldeneyes.
Hey!
So I'm trying to like, hang on, let me take a sip and then I'll angle it. Because there's gold leaf on the top.
Oh, sparkly unnecessary lettuce.
Yes. Yes. But you need the gold. So anyway, so obviously it's the inspiration for this is all in the name. So the golden color, golden sparkles, and the golden leaf reflect like Perrin's golden eyes. The flavors are apple to represent the apple brandy the Two Rivers is famous for, as well as the burial ground and apple blossoms of the Aybara family.
So the beautiful.
Recipe, so that's the inspiration. So then the recipe is in a cocktail shaker without ice, pour 2 ounces of Crown Royal apple whiskey, 1 ounce of St. Germain, 1.5 ounces of apple juice, half an ounce of lemon juice, half an ounce of maple syrup, 1 ounce of egg white or 1 egg white. Add the gold edible sparkles, dry shake until foamy, then add ice and shake until cold. Strain into an old-fashioned glass with fresh ice. Sprinkle gold leaf on top. Cheers!
Cheers.
Cheers.
And your obligatory can ASMR from me. This is a BA Imperial Stout called Candy.
Oh, damn.
Ooh.
And I got this. This is one of our expensive beers. I got this because they have this thing, if you get a review, such as like TripAdvisor or something for the business, and you are named in it as you wowed the customer, they'll give you a free beer up to £10. Whilst I wasn't specifically named, someone did comment that me going out and clearing the table and seeing how they were on a quiet Sunday evening made their night. So they said, please thank the chef in the Ed Sheeran hat, which is what I wear at work. So yeah, I got this. And I've saved it for this. There's your ASMR, and we'll see what Candy's like.
Nice.
And that's our wad of positivity for the week as well.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, that's nice. It's like sweet, but...
Sweet but stouty.
there we go. It's barrel-aged Imperial Stout, that's why.
Nice.
So it's got the sort of like that little bourbon.
I'm a stout girl, so bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
The stout's the way to go. So,
except I can't afford it anymore because of tariffs. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just
I'll
moving on.
if I could bring some to WhatCon without it exploding in my luggage, I would.
Mm-hmm.
So, Meg, any fun socials? There's been a lot of socials.
There is one that I wanted to talk about, but I think we need to leave it for the 308 speculation.
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I think
that we talked about it yesterday.
Fair
I
enough.
don't think it's anything. Okay.
Maybe we didn't talk about it. Never mind. We'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there at some point. That's fine. Yes, folks, at some point we will be talking about 308 preview.
Because I bullied Rob into watching it earlier than he wanted to, and I'm sorry.
Yes, Meg got me to watch it earlier than typical. I've actually only done a reaction to one of them. I did watch the 307 preview, but I was so busy because of being away last weekend that I was like, I'm not going to have a chance to record this properly until like Wednesday afternoon, and that's pointless by that stage.
Right.
So I just watched it casually at some point, I did love it. But yeah, I did do this one yesterday. And
I loved your reaction to that.
I was blown away by it, but we'll get into that later. Yes. There is one little bit of social media I want to share, sure. And this is I've befriended one of the stunt people, unintentionally. I just commented on their stuff and was like, "This is great," and yeah, we chat now. We talk stunts and things, and this is Michael. Let me make sure. Michael Harding. It's one of the stunt folks, and he tagged me in a post this week from behind the scenes of episode 7, where he's standing on rooftops shooting an arrow, and
Oh,
then he
I
like
saw that.
slides down to like one
Yeah.
of the windows, stands there, shoots another arrow, and then just sort of like jumps off and starts shooting more arrows and stuff. And it was like one of the stunts that didn't make it into the final cut.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really cool, and I was just like this is actually insane, and I love it. So yeah, I like that we're not just seeing things that are in the show, but like things they considered that just didn't make it in for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of fun.
That was really cool. I was like,
It
wait,
was.
I didn't see that. I wanted to see that, but I was glad I did get to see it behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of his other posts you could actually was the previs for like the Arum and the Trolloc scene there, and that Trolloc I didn't realize had very long arms. That's how it was running everywhere.
Yeah,
Interesting,
he was weird.
interesting looking Trolloc, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like a
Very
like,
disturbing.
silverback sort of Trolloc
Yeah.
or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but yeah. All right, episode 7, written by Dave Hill,
Directed by Kieran Connolly.
Kieran Donnelly.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
I
said
got
Kieran
that.
Connolly, and I went
I
to
did.
make Darren Connolly. And I'm like, we're both wrong here. Kieran Donnelly,
Yes.
who also directed 1 and 2,
And we'll be directing 8.
and will be directing 8. Yeah. Should we go straight to the controversial moment? Shall we talk about that straight off the bat?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's hard to talk about anything else other than that, it seems like, in the fan community right now.
I know.
Well, which controversial moment? Because technically there are a few in terms of fans.
I think Loial is what
Loial
we're
dying.
getting into.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What do we think? I'm very clear, and I've said this in a few places. I'm obviously sad Loial died.
Sure.
You know why? I didn't want him to die.
No.
Did I think it fit the story they're telling and in the context of the episode and the season? Yes, and it worked really well. And for that reason, I liked it. Obviously, if we could have done that and not had him die, yes. But yeah, I it sounds bad to be like, I like the character dying, but yes, I liked it. So
I agree. I mean, look, this is first of all, people. This is storytelling. It's storytelling. It's television. It's storytelling. Do I want Hamad to continue having work? Yes, of course. Now he's going to go get other work,
And
He's
he
gonna get tons of
may
work.
also
Yeah, and he could show up
pop
if
in
he
from
is
time to time.
if he is truly a hero on the horn. But you know, here's my frustration a little bit. I'm not going to go off too much on fans having different opinions about it, which I don't. But the big complaint over and over again has been, Aes Sedai plot armor, Aes Sedai healing armor. Like everybody just gets healed. Nobody's actually dead. Nobody's actually dead. Okay, we killed somebody. How dare you kill somebody? Like, and yes, isn't a much more impactful death someone who has proven that. I mean, we see his rage and we know what an Ogier can do, but someone who is generally peaceful and kind and gentle and all of the wonderful things, it's just so much more impactful than killing, frankly, Leandrin. Although we're going to have big feelings if that happens too, because we started to care about her so much. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think it was the appropriate person to lose. I also think that, people have talked about this too, but Loial doesn't do a ton in the rest of the series.
does
and
not. This is true.
From the beginning, I've been like, we are not going to get Aerith. I love me some Aerith, and I love me some ears and some eyebrows.
Ear stroking.
In ear stroking, it's great. But
Some ear smut.
yes, exactly. I mean, but I was saying a couple of weeks ago, I really wanted to see him get it on with Bane, and almost got to see that. But
I know, right? It was like a tease, but
yeah, and the choice to like really push the longing this season, because at this point in the story in the books, the longing hasn't hit him as much. It's really like a little after this that we start to see that happen, and he has to go back to the studying. But I think that I didn't see it at the time, but they absolutely telegraphed this at the beginning of the season when he said,
His face.
Bane was like, "What the hell is the his face?" But when they came out of the Waygate, and Bane was like, "What the hell is the longing?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a long way off, and it takes a long time." And I was like, "Bullshit! You already know. He knows that he may be too far gone."
maybe.
Like, I think it was a really interesting choice, and I do think that I think that they telegraphed it and we didn't see it because none of us wanted to believe it. But I think it's a much more impactful death than other characters. And I also think that there's so much story to tell, and just having to like find a way to if he stayed in the show, people would be like, "You're not using him enough." But what's he going to do? Read his books all the time? Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's a decent choice. It makes sense. It's much more impactful. We care a lot more. If anybody's going to go out in the ways, it should be him because he's, part of building them. It's beautiful. It's sad. And I completely 100% agree with the choice.
I mean, there's a lot of accuracy around it. Obviously not for the books, but in terms of real life wars and situations like that, it's always the innocent that die first. They're always the first victim of any conflict. And I think, you could probably say Loial was the most innocent of our characters, really.
And he knew. He knew. He left the book.
Yeah, he left the book, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is sad to say, but, without being too morbid, it is, also, in a way, kind of fitting that the storyteller of the show died before it was finished, much like our storyteller died before his story was finished.
Yeah.
Like
I saw some people posting that, and I got all weepy again.
It's extremely sad, but there is an analogy there, and it's it could in some way be seen as a homage to that situation. And I've got to be honest, it's probably hell on Hamad to wear all those prosthetics all the time.
Yeah,
that's
the prosthetics, the boots.
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of him that goes, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to do that for weeks and weeks and weeks on end anymore." Like pop-ins for a few days here and there, once in a blue moon.
Yeah, and just to be a character that often doesn't do a ton in the background, like this season, he got some of these just wonderful scenes with Bane and Shiad, like consistently. I was like, what the hell is he doing with his whole like turning away, and then he tricks them?
I didn't get it either.
Fucking great. It was great.
So good.
Yeah.
And, so like that was really fun, and he really got to sing a lot. But, I think back to, I'm so embarrassed that I can't think of the actor's name right now. The woman who played Tasha Yar on Next Generation. Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes, I know who you mean now.
Her name is like at the tip of my tongue. I can't believe I can't think of it. It'll come to me. But, part of her frustration in wanting to leave the show at the time that she left, whatever, late season 1 or early season 2, I think late season 1.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
She was like, look, I'm the security officer on the ship, but I do nothing. And I spend most episodes, and I started paying attention to this after I heard this quote from her, but she was like, if you watch, like, all you see is her legs behind the console. Like the whole entire episode, she's just standing at the console, like looking tough, but she doesn't even have a line. And as an actor, that's also frustrating. Like, and in a show like this, trying to service this many actors, this many storylines, in a way, it's also a gift to the actor to say, like, go find something that will challenge you and make you able to like really have fun and do things, because you're going to just be standing around from here on out. You're pretty much just going to be standing in the background until the last battle, when you're going to grab an axe and swing around, and it's just like, do my swell's fine. But, it's just,
once a season, you'll get it on some fighting. Otherwise it's a teeny tiny bit of dialogue here and there. And you're mostly writing a book and turning down.
Well, and I also feel like it's a payoff to what he said in 208, when he was like trying to rally everybody during the battle at Falm. And he's like, we need to be the heroes of our age.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he did. And so what I also find interesting, too, is not that we would have had any reference for the Horn of Valir or the Heroes of the Horn theme when Uno died, but Uno was already a hero of the Horn because he's Gaidal Cain, right?
Yes. So
I'm thinking Loial became a new hero of the Horn. At this point,
the music playing had represented him being added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is before I add in the thing that's just I want to talk about there is a small part of me that worries that every fan favorite character that dies coming back in some. All right, granted, Uno was already a hero and Loial would be a new hero, but if they keep coming back as heroes of the Horn, like there's a precedent.
It loses the stakes. Yeah.
It loses the stakes a little bit. Like, oh, well, it's okay that a fan favorite died because they're now a hero instead. And so we don't see them as often, but we'll still see them. They're still quote alive.
Well, it's a little like Hopper dying, though. It's a little like Hopper being like, "Don't worry, he's still in the dream." You know, in a way, and which is also
if we're getting that.
I don't want to talk about it. We're getting it.
But the other part for me with Loial, sorry to cut you off,
yeah,
is think about how he was, especially in this episode. With like Bane and Shiads, the things he wrote down about Perrin, you know, how
Which
he
were
behaved.
quotes from the very end of the series.
Absolutely. But, you know, how he behaved at the Waygate and such, you know, the way he spoke to Bane and Shead, you know, Bane and Shead, Maidens of the Spear, will you guard my back while I'm, you know, in the Waygate and things like that. You know, just how honorable he is, you know, and what a hallmark of a hero that should be. So, you know, there is, you know, I'm not going to be upset if he comes back as a hero of the Horn, as long as that's not just the, you know, oh, we kill a side character,
default.
but we make the default. Yeah, as long as we don't. The next side character or fan favorite who dies, if they come back as
dead.
They better stay dead, you know?
And we don't know. I mean, the theme that is playing there is, I also think, because I think canonically, I believe only humans can be attached to the horn.
Also,
And
that,
then-
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Yes. Fine. And you guys know I have no problem turning canon on its head and dumping out all the cannonballs. But I do think
Cannonballs, I'd never heard that before.
You've never heard that before? I mean,
In phrase to canon, no.
right.
I love it.
Makes sense, doesn't it? You know.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do think there's an aspect of even if, I mean, playing that music is just reminding us that he is a hero, whether he's attached to the horn or not, whether he spins back out on the horn or not. This is a world where people spin back out. Loial will spin back out in another lifetime, regardless of the horn, being attached to the horn, as another hero, because he is a hero. And I think that's part of also what we're getting from that. So, you know, and I think, why not bring everybody back in the last fucking battle? Like, you know, like, fine, if we don't see him again.
I was kind of wondering about that too, but then it almost feels like a on your left or on your right or whatever moment from Endgame.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
but
On
the
your
hero's
left,
showing
don't you
up
dare.
as
What is on your right?
I
If you
didn't remember what he said.
If you're going to quote one of the
Exactly.
greatest
sorry.
movie depictions of a comic moment, get it right on your
I
left.
have toe. I have
Yes.
You have
toe.
so much toe.
So
Okay,
much
but going
toe.
back to Loial for 1 second, though, I do have to say, so as much as they were telegraphing, I mean, they were telegraphing whole season. Like, looking back, I'm like, I'm an idiot that I didn't see it, but I don't really mean that, because none of us are idiots, because we didn't expect it, and because no matter what,
Right.
we do have book lore behind us making us think certain ways. I was watching him try to pound the doors, and I'm like, you can't break a Waygate. You can't break a Waygate. And then I'm like, and then he starts singing, and I'm like, oh, the singing's gonna grow something, do something. I was like,
I
so
was
excited.
wondering that too, or if it would like bring Machin Shin or something. Like
Or
I
it would
was
bring matching shin. I thought that.
Yeah.
But then when he started pounding in front of him and it was working, and he was like, oh my God, that works. I was like, yes, he's going to knock the bridge out. They're going to all fall into the bridge, and then he's going to walk back out and hang out with Bane and Shead. They're going to just hang out. I was like, I had already written the end of the show and the end of the episode at that
in
point.
that
And I was
split
like,
second moment.
yeah, I was like, great. I see where this is going.
I was with you there. I was just like, oh, he's going to
Yes.
take out the bridge, and then they
Yes.
can't get there. Yes.
And I have to say, like, as a writer who's I'm always 2 steps ahead, and I mean, because I'm trying to think of like what I would be thinking of as a writer, and it's so rare that I get surprised. It's so rare.
You said that a couple times.
I have,
talking
and
about
this
the show, which
and this
I
show
like.
has
Yeah.
done it, like, it consistently. And again, like, I know it's because I'm partly biased to begin with, because of
The
being,
books, yeah.
because of the books. But I started to stand up off the couch. I actually did not, because I was a little bit too lazy, but I started to stand up off the couch, and I just yelled, no, as loud as possible, because I was just
Like
shocked.
Luke Skywalker in Bespin.
I'm never telling you.
yeah.
Yes, it was great. I mean, I was so shocked. I was so shocked. I mean, and it's fun because David and I watched it together. David, this is on the DL. David took a little bit it was actually exactly an hour. He took his lunch hour on Thursday to watch it, which was really fun because we don't normally watch it in the middle of the day, and the boys were at school, and so it was just, and he loved this episode so much, and he was choked up and verklempt for like hours after. As well. Like, in part because of Loial, in part because of Perrin getting
Perrin's
taken
his
off.
favorite. Yeah.
Perrin's his favorite. He just read this book,
Yeah.
So in any case, it was he didn't talk to me for a while after, but he was like, he was as shocked as I was in that moment. Maybe he saw it coming. I actually didn't ask him if he knew that that's what was going to happen, if he knew he was going to fall.
I think I said it like partway earlier in the episode when he was in the waves. I was like, if they kill Loial, I'm going to be so pissed.
I think it says a lot that he's just read this book and how different really the Battle of the Two Rivers is in the show compared to the
Yeah.
book. Because in the show, the actual like, building walls and the siege and all that sort of stuff doesn't happen like this. Like they build a wall, they go and protect the pass, they arm up for throwing bombs off the wall and things like that, which I loved how that worked out, by the way. And it happens in like one day. They defend the pass, they come back from the pass, Pattern Fane sneaks in the Dark Friends and the Trollocs, and then like the battle goes on for what, an hour maybe,
Right.
something like that, and then it's done.
As fucked up as this is, I was like, they can't kill Pattern Fane. They can't kill Pattern Fane before we get Pattern Fane from the books, which is so weird that I was like hoping for Pattern Fane's survival. But I was like, I need more of a payoff for Pattern Fane.
Yes. After they started to do more, I was like, how I've said this, like this season was do or die for Pattern Fane, and they have chosen to do as opposed to die. So I love Sherbet Mango's comment here. I was wondering why Loial was getting so much screen time, and then they gave him a hero's ending. I thought this moment brought so much emotional weight to the episode, and I'm reflecting. I understand practically why they made the decision. Empathetic towards those who are frustrated losing their favorite character.
Exactly.
Yes.
Of course, completely empathetic because it's and I mean the truth is we do have some plot armor. We're obviously we're not going to lose Rand. I think it would be such a like kind of just a fuck you to lose Nynaeve, Egwene, Perrin, or Matt.
Yeah.
Even or Kira. Elaine at this stage, like this is or Avienda, like they're just like or Min. You can't. Okay, those are our course. They really all have to be there for a really long time. It would just be a big fuck you. But I do think that and absolutely empathetic. But I also think, I think it was a really strong decision, and it just makes the stakes real.
Well, I mean, the books, like we really don't lose anybody.
We don't
until the last book.
Yeah.
Except for like
Leah. Except for we lose Moraine. Which,
Leah, I'm sorry. Like, no.
I know.
Yes, we lose her, but that's like not.
Well, no. I mean, I'm
No.
saying like obviously Moraine, but like there are like and is it Darred? Darred isn't Darred the guy he has to hang? The Aiel that he has to hang.
Oh no!
Why
that's,
are you
that's
saying
an
that
M
these
name.
are important characters?
I'm
They're
not.
not.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. It's like we have
That's not what I'm
deaths, but
talking
they're
about.
not like anybody we're emotionally
Yeah,
connected to.
they're not even.
Well, no,
like,
Moraine.
real-
I remember where I was. We were at Grammy and Grandpa's house in Phoenix. I think you were there too, Jay, for like Christmas or something. And I read Moraine's quote death, and I was devastated. And you were like, "It's okay. We all think she's coming back."
Oh, that's right. Because of course I hadn't read. I mean, the books weren't done yet. She wasn't back yet.
If people don't die, then there's no stakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard Matt Hatch actually say this when it's like, if you could change one storyline or do this or do that, he's been like, people need to die. He's like, if no one dies, where's the stakes? Where's the risk?
Yeah.
I thought Alana was gonna die too.
Yeah, I really did. Yeah.
And but I don't mind her plot armor. I don't mind that the girls learned how to heal that quickly. I really don't. It doesn't bother me. We have the very first thing Nynaeve did was heal.
Was miraculously heal several people.
Yeah,
I think it's very
full-on-
intrinsic to the Two Rivers.
I think so too. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I think it is a part of. I think we've established that Two Rivers folk are healers. People said a couple weeks ago, they were like, "How you guys both drank at the same time," and it was so adorable. Sorry.
Look, twinsing sometimes, okay?
Yes, yes. But like people a couple weeks ago were like, "How did Perrin?" You're adorable. How did Perrin get healed so quickly by Days Conger's mountain herbs?
Well,
and
I think she was healing. I think
for
she
sure,
was.
for sure. And people were suggesting like maybe Days can channel, and obviously she could because we got there. And so I do think
wait. Let's pour one out for Daisy Conger right now.
All right.
Yeah. Cheers, Taishar.
Taishar Days Conger.
Through Thought Talk is participating in the Blacktail Podcast Fantasy League that they're doing for the season.
Oh, right.
We meant to do it and we forgot.
We've been second most of the season, so I've had zero input in this. By the way, we just picked Aiel characters, and off we went with the exception of Rand,
Of course.
Sure.
who's like a token Aiel. And we realized this week, I looked at the team combinations, the other ones for episode before we got to episode 7, and I said to the girls, I was like, we've got one character that's in this episode. I was like, we need some hitters, because otherwise we've got Bane, and that's it. And I see a team out there.
Bane took some
but
kills.
There were some people out. There was a team out there that had Alana, Fael, and Dane.
Oh,
and I was just like, oh. And then someone else had like Perrin, and there were people out there that Perrin and Shiad. There were teams that had big hitters, and I was like, we are not going to be second this week if we don't get another character. And so, we we debated about who to get and such, and we actually dropped Melindra for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked up Days Conga. But I'm not sure how much she helped us, because you lose a lot of points if they die.
Yeah.
But initially we were like, yeah, go Days,
And then you're like, ooh.
Oh dear, because the shielding moment was
That was great.
Her shield?
Yes.
I mean, they're healers and protectors.
Yes.
And that is, not, I don't want to drop a big fat spoiler, and I know we don't have people on
We
I don't think we have
spoil
anybody.
normally.
I know.
As long
I'm
as
just
David's
saying.
not around.
I know, and I don't think he is. He knows he's supposed to tell me if he
Meg's the
jumps
one
in.
who's like, spoilers. And here we are, Jen Speed.
Healing and shielding. Like, we've seen that's the two rivers, healing and shielding. Ashikova's here. Yay!
Ashikova's here. We are getting more and more people every week. This is so much fun.
So
But
I think
you're right.
I think we are. I think I love Day's healing Perrin, unbeknownst to us a couple weeks ago. I love Day's jumping in and getting siphoned through, and Alana's like, "Fuck, you're strong." She's like, "She's strong."
Yeah.
I was like, "Days is just gonna be weak," and she's like, "She's strong," and I was like, "Okay." And then
Yes.
I loved her shield. I mean, and she just
it wasn't a
found
perfect
it.
shield either. Like, the arrows got through pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know really. She was just all instinct.
Instinct.
Yeah.
It was just great and beautiful, and I have no problem with magical instinct, and with it like less about having to be trained and more about just like do what comes naturally. I love it, love it.
So I feel like that is a nice segue into what Alana was saying to Bodwin and Eldrin. It's Eldrin, right?
Yes.
I keep trying to remember the other sister's name because I always just remember Bode, and
I don't remember. I just remember Bode, and that's it. I'm like, they're twins. It covers them both. It's easy, So.
But when they were like, "Are you going to take us to the White Tower?" and she's like, "No." So like,
Looney Theory, you ready?
well, wait. Let me finish my thoughts first.
Sorry. You go.
So I'm wondering if she's perhaps getting correspondence from the White Tower and realize shit's going south real fast and doesn't want to go back. And then she'll just take them straight to Saladar.
No, too soon.
Too soon.
Not
I
too
think
soon
too
for
soon.
Saladar. What I'm saying, like, in terms of like putting it into the TV show, I think what's happened in the show so far, too soon for Saladar to have been on anyone's radar.
No. I'm not saying she even knows about Saladar.
Oh,
now.
right, okay.
I'm just saying that's what's going to happen is she ends up taking them to Saladar.
Right. Okay.
But she's nervous about bringing them back to the tower because there's so much unrest and whatever at the tower. But then we will see her take them to Saladar.
So we hear it from Varen. We hear it from Kedswan, and then we kind of hear it from Varen. But we know that there are, like, in the books, there's a cadre of sisters who decide to stay outside. They're like, y'all figure shit out, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, like about 1/3 so it just completely sits to the side.
Yes, and Varen and Alana are of that group. I mean, they don't really make that. They aren't, because when they show up in Camelin and Rand sees Bode and Eldrin there, she's like, we're kind of waiting to figure out what we're doing, like in a sense. And Varen is very much like, Tower's got to figure out their shit. And Kid Swain is like, all this political stuff is so lame. When the children settle down, we'll take care of it all. So I think that Alana has already made that very clear. And I don't think she loves Moraine or Swan any less. And I think she certainly would side with them if she were there without question. I think she said it in episode 2 or whatever, when she said battles aren't won with politics and prophecies, battles are won with armies. And she's just like, we don't have time for your petty, stupid games.
Yeah.
So
she's already
I'm
said
out
that.
here.
Yeah.
I'm out here building an army. And to me, she says, no, I have other plans for us. And to me, I think that, and maybe I hope it might get her to Saladar with them. We'll see. We'll talk about more about that in a second. But I do think she's like, I don't want to put you into this place that will not let you come to your full potential. I'm going to get you to your potential quickly because the last battle is on our heels and you need to be ready, and I'm going to train you. I'm going to make my own army of Aes Sedai, sort of separate from the tower.
Well, not Aes Sedai. Let's be real.
Channelers. I'm sorry, of channelers. Yes. And I also, here's the loony
semantics
part.
are important.
They are. Here's the loony part. You ready?
Go for it.
So ready.
She's going to bond them.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, not by that's
but
like
not in a sexual way. I don't mean that.
No,
like,
no,
we understand.
Well,
we knew that. We understood that. Yeah.
Well, you
no,
were so
I'm
horrified.
Has anyone seen the newsroom?
Yes, love the newsroom.
Wait, that's with Jeff Daniels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember when they're like, it's the night where they get Osama bin Laden and Emily Mortimer's character's in there, and she's like, like think outside the box, like way outside the box, and then Dev Patel's character comes in and says, Bigfoot. She's like, come back inside the box.
This is Jen.
Because everyone looks at him and he goes, she said think outside the box, and then went way outside the box. You are bigfooting right now. We have just coined a phrase here on Three Wheeling. You are bigfooting with that one.
Yes.
We'll see. Waffo.
No.
Waffo.
Okay, you just want Alana to bond everybody.
I want Alana to bond every fucking person.
Wait, was she bonding Bane or Chiad?
She was going to bond Chiad because Bane dies.
Bane died, yes.
And I want her bonding all the women. If she bonds Chiad's obviously going to be a part of the polycule. Obviously, the girls, she's going to have to mess
those
them
girls
up
are
a lot.
horny, man. Seriously?
Bane and Chiad are,
especially Bane. Seriously?
Oh my God. I loved Maiden's Kiss so much. And I loved them being like, fuck. Like,
we can't hurt Loial.
We can't hurt him. And they were like, we like it's not actually a game.
Yeah.
They're like, no, people do die playing this game. And they're like, and their whole excuse, like what they made up to like be able to get out of it.
We didn't ask the roof mistress for permission.
Right. It was so funny. And also, Loial learned hand talk.
I mean, I think he did.
He was constantly responding to them when they were doing hand talk. He was like responding to them as if they were just speaking to him. He's
super smart. So I think he probably picked it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they've been hanging out for months. For sure. Yeah. But I loved that he like responded to them about hand talk on multiple occasions.
And now they were like, fucking wetlanders, even their shadow sold are
that was so great.
Whatever,
I laughed so hard at that part. Yeah.
There was some good fan service in this episode, I think.
Yeah, there was.
There was. So
that
being one.
Oh, can I? Oh, I have a loony theory, but I don't actually believe it. But
okay.
Fail is a gray man. She stabs like a gray man.
Stab.
Like that's how a gray man stab. That's how Fail stabs.
It was great. I'm sure there's a cartoon somewhere where there's a character who kills like that. No, I know where I've seen it from. Ready Player One, the movie, where like Chucky the doll gets thrown around.
Yes.
Like the Chucky doll gets thrown around at the end and like lands at people like there, and he's just like stab in the face. And there was a little bit where she sort of like jumped on a trolley or something and just went stab.
It was great.
I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen that somewhere. Like Chucky, that's why,
But also, it's true. Like, I mean, if you're 4'8", however tall she is, like, and you're fighting an 8-foot Trolloc who's literally twice as tall.
How tall she is? I'm really curious now.
Isabella?
Let me see.
Isabella, she's very.
But Kai's
a lot of people have.
Oh, I saw that interview with Kai.
Kai said she's wearing stacked shoes.
Yeah,
she's in platforms.
She's in platforms.
Yeah, because when she's walking around with everybody, she's
out of frame, probably.
Yeah, and she was like, amazing. So when we're like walking over cobblestone streets, and I'm in like giant platforms.
That's epic.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes.
So
Lord of the Rings. It's
so
like
hard.
It's like the Hobbits and the Cave Troll too. Yes.
Yep.
Sherbert Manga just said the LOTR. Yeah. It was completely Merry and Pippin on that Cave Troll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was great. It was great.
Like that.
Oh, and the look she gives Perrin when she's like, stop trying to protect me, and he says, kill the
Kill
ones
the ones I
I
miss.
miss.
Wait, and there was
like,
a reference to that earlier in the episode. Damn it. And because I didn't take notes in this one, but there was something that they said earlier that kind of led to that line.
Yeah, it was
Damn it.
something about protecting. He was trying to send her away or something like that, and she's like, "Why'd you keep trying to protect me? Are you worried that are you worried that you're gonna swing your axe into me like you did your deaf wife or something like that?"
Oh, that was rough.
Yes. How I the trauma of the I feel like we transitioned onto Perrin and Faye right now.
Sure.
The moment where they were fighting in the forge together, I was like, oof. I know it's an open forge this time.
It was
obviously
very, yeah.
I was like, dude's gonna get nervous because this is where he killed his wife.
Mm-hmm. And he was holding back, and she called him on it. Like, he was holding back, and he was holding back both from like leading the two rivers and from like fighting the way he needed to fight. And Marcus's performance, I rewatched that bit over and over again as he steps out of the forge. Like when she says it to him and he steps out of the forge and he says, "Watch my back," and he moves into the battle. Marcus's performance, it was like watching a wolf stand up on its back legs and walk. Like he came into his power. He straightened his posture. His head was up. I mean, Perrin, the whole thing about Perrin and the Goldeneyes and like keeping his eyes down in the books because he doesn't want people, when Rand first runs into him after his eyes have completely changed and he's like, it's so weird. He's such a downcast look now. And like, and so Perrin trying to sort of hide and stay smaller so he's not running into people or hurting people. And I just like, it was just beautiful to watch him unfold out of that. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Very, very powerful.
I just loved it and was so impressed with his performance. And again, like, people saying he wasn't getting enough service so far this season. He got just enough because we were ready for this. And then this was like, all Perrin all the time. And if you're talking about ice time in a hockey game, like,
yeah.
it's
I saw
magical.
some people in my comment section were like, "Oh, they didn't do any Wolf Dream stuff. Like, when they're going to do Wolf Dream stuff?" And I'm like,
There's no
"We
wolves in
got
this
an
section.
entire episode that was all Perrin. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no wolf dream in the Two Rivers. Like,
well, there
we
is
saw
the Slayer
wolf.
stuff.
There's the Slayer stuff, but there's
we
no
haven't
wolves
done
in
Slayer,
it.
so.
There's no wolves in it except for
let's
Hopper.
talk about that maybe. What do we think is going on with Lord Luke?
Well, we also saw wolf heads at the White Cloak camp.
We did. I still think that Luke is a red herring, and I still think that Padme Thane has Slayer's powers.
Someone suggested online, I don't know who it was, apologies for not writing down the reference. Somebody suggested they thought that Slayer was the one who shot Days.
Oh, yeah.
I kept looking for him everywhere, and felt like I was seeing him everywhere. But I just
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know where he was. I didn't even think about him
I
until
don't think I
after.
actually did. I just kept like, "Oh, was that Luke? Oh, was that Luke? Oh, was that Luke?" Like I just kept
It was a Trolloc-sized arrow though. It was like it was a big ass arrow, and so I just assumed it was a Trolloc at the time, but then I don't know if they came in the back door or if it was just like one person. Also, we didn't find out it was Dira, and I'm still convinced that it might.
So
have
she's
been Dira.
listed as Cheyenne.
She's listed as Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Lady Cheyenne was
the dark. I know,
also
she's the one.
the assassin or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, I saw Lady Cheyenne's name in the credits weeks ago before we had seen her here, and didn't.
Which I think wasn't that the woman that we thought was potentially Dira?
Yeah.
When we were talking with last week,
Yeah.
So, but
Well, and then
I
my other question was, so when Perrin was like, it was right before the battle, and he like steps outside the gates, and you almost hear like the wolf like speak going, like the and like the like echoey sound. I wonder if he was trying to reach out to the wolves and they weren't there because they'd all been killed.
Oh.
That's possible.
I thought that for a second, but then I wasn't sure if that was what he was hearing or if it was Trollocs.
I know. Yeah, so I don't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the closed captioning doesn't say anything about sound, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Sherbert Mango says Fael gave Luke a really weird look when he rode into town with the White Cloaks. I didn't see him. Was he there?
Yeah.
Sherbert, do you mean when they do that meet with Dane? Because Luke's with Dane at that point.
Oh, right, because Luke was the one who set
in
it
the
up.
Past. Yeah.
In the past, when they met to discuss.
I'm not sure if
So
that's
not when he comes in with the Trollocs. Right? So we
Yeah.
didn't see Luke when they were
Yeah, I don't think
coming
so.
in with
I don't-
Pat and Fane with the Trollocs?
I don't think we saw Trollocs. I don't think we saw Luke when the Trollocs were
I'll
coming in.
pull it up on my phone and see if we can check it out.
Yeah, I think, but and Fail did give him a strange look, like
She did, yeah.
yeah, because I think when she said he'll meet you in the past or we'll meet in the past, I didn't know that they were trying to meet
Oh,
up.
I
with
can't
Dane.
on my phone because of our Prime account being compromised. I don't have the new password.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. I've
Not
got
on
it
my
here.
phone.
But I
That's
do
fair.
think that it's a I do think that there I think there was something unexpected about the way that they all met. Like maybe she didn't expect him to bring that many white cloaks to the pass. It was just supposed to be Dane who was meeting with Perrin. Yeah. Oh, there is
There's
an extended shot.
of Fael looking at Luke when they ride in at the end before Perrin notices Fane. Oh, okay. Let's go hunting for this. then.
Thank you.
Let's go hunt. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
this is the appropriate
Since
phrase.
I cannot.
So that's TBAD in chat. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was it was I was just so caught up in the story at that point. I mean, I also did not expect. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I knew that Pat and Fane was like faking as a white cloak, but then when the white cloaks showed up, I was just like, "Yay!"
Oh,
Yeah.
You know.
sweet summer child.
What a great end, though. Like,
Yeah.
how perfect was that?
Great Trojan
Well,
horse
and what I
moment.
also, we didn't see this on screen, but I'm pretty sure this is probably what happened. Dane said, fuck you, we're not doing it. And then Pat and Fane was probably the one that was like, no, we need to go help the people of the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
So Pat and Fane was the one to push them to actually go and, quote, help.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
I just heard the Prime bit load
Yeah,
up.
sorry.
For you.
On my phone. My volume is still up.
That's fine. I've got the scene playing here.
Oh, I just immediately scrolled ahead to Perrin singing Weep for Manetherin and let us not talk about that right now so I don't weep.
We'll talk about that in a second, yeah. Impressive. Okay, so they're riding in. It is Dane and Valda. There's guys. Oh no, yeah, Luke's riding just behind.
Mm-hmm. He's
However,
definitely conspiring.
yeah, he's to the left of Valda. Or now he's just behind Valda in the shot. They're all staring at him. Dane is talking to him. Blah, blah, blah. They keep jogging in. Yeah, Luke
Valda,
can fight.
do you mean Valda or do
yeah.
you mean the Human Torch?
Sorry,
wait.
yeah, and then there is a moment where Luke and Fael stare at each other.
And Fael is like, she looks back to Perrin. She looks back to Perrin, who's happy about it, but she looks a little skeptical. Like, I thought they weren't coming. Why are they here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's Luke. I see him riding in.
Yeah.
So where was he during all of this battle?
Never saw him.
No, I don't
Like,
think
who
we
was he
actually see him
fighting with
Yeah.
Right.
during the battle?
I don't think we actually see him fighting. Maybe
And we
this is
never
something
saw
we have
the
to watch
dagger,
in
right?
detail. No, the dagger is not seen at all this so
Okay.
far this season. I think the dagger, much like the horn, is just kind of been shelved to one side, and like maybe Pat and Fane will reveal that at some point.
Well, I do feel like we're gonna start to see a shift in Pat and Fane after this point. Like, he's been humiliated, whatever. He's gonna go back to the Dark One and say, "Give me something to really get back at the Two Rivers. Like, I want to wipe the Two Rivers off the map now." So I think this might be the shift that we see in Pat and Fane, is from this moment on.
I had Beth Doman reach out to me and ask me about Pat and Fane stuff, and she's like, do you think he's a Forsaken? And I was like, no. I do not think he's the Eighth Forsaken. I think he's something of his own agency, like he is in the books. And I think that she's like, who do you think he means when this is the Dark One? I was like, I honestly think he means Ishii, in whatever form Ishii is currently floating around in. Because, again, I don't think, I think, like in the books, Ishii's not actually gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dark One will just spin him back out. So, yeah, I still, until proven otherwise, and it's, it absolutely could be proven otherwise, I'm still sitting on the Pat and Fane is, I definitely think Pat and Fane is Perrin's nemesis now for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has firmly been shifted to Perrin as his nemesis. He's definitely not going to be Matt's nemesis.
Oh,
Or both.
I'm gonna jump in on that one.
Okay.
I kind of feel like this is a closure to Padden Fane and Perrin's conversation. And he may shift his allegiance into chasing someone else. And that maybe it will be Matt and we'll have the Matt Dagger issue or something. But or it'll just be Rand. Because I feel like, I mean, you know, look, Perrin knows that he knows that Padden Fane's not going to keep his word. There's no question of that. And I love the line when he says, you can guarantee I'm going to keep my word.
Yeah.
By killing you right now if you don't do what I'm asking. But it's a really, to me, it's the closure of that for Perrin.
Okay.
Where he made the choice. Well, he went back to the Ingtar conversation where Ingtar was like, you may want to ask why.
Ask the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask why he's doing this. And he did. And then
Incredible
he chose
foreshadowing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then he chose peace, you know, which won the day.
Yeah.
At that point. So
Because they all would have died had he not got him to call off his army.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, it was a really, it just gave the agency back to Perrin. Because in the books, he's doing everything he can. It does depend on the Deus Ex Machina of Fael showing up with Devon Ride and Watch Hill and whatever. And so, those things are great and wonderful, and it's a big point of Fael's character in the books. I'm glad that that's not what happened here, and I'm glad that the White Cloaks actually fought, frankly, because I'm like just sitting there not fighting. In the books, also felt like I know why, but I also in the books felt like. That it just isn't like it certainly isn't the White Cloaks. We've set them up to be really horrible in the show, but we also had Jeffrey Bornhold say no one else is here in Falm. So that's
no one
why
else is going to do it.
No one else is going to be here if we die in the cause of the light. It's the right thing to do. Yeah. So I mean, so that again, that full circle for Dane, because that is the words, like Perrin uses his dad's words against him without knowing that that's what he's doing, and then Dane coming that full circle, I thought was really beautiful. But I loved that the tide of the battle ended up falling to Perrin making a choice to not kill. Perrin, who didn't trust his instincts to be able to pull back, who made a mistake killing Bornhold in his own words, and then that's the reason that saves the Two Rivers. While Ela's there, it's just really cool. I think it's a great deepening of that story point in the books that maybe didn't quite hit as hard as it needed to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So.
Do we think, kind of going back to Ela, do we think Aram's going to follow Perrin, or is he going to stay in the Two Rivers?
I hope to God he stays in the Two Rivers and just blacksmiths.
Yeah, I think he could stay in the Two Rivers and just be like, if the Two Rivers turn up for the last battle, he comes with then. I think that's fine.
I hope we're not getting mauled and
I felt really bad for Aram in this episode, and I understand. I've actually had some people in my comment section when I talk about this, but I'm like, here's Perrin, a confessed killer, and person who struggles with violence, who has just spent the night fighting and killing
many people.
Many people.
Yes.
And here is Aram, who has never once touched a weapon in his life, never once committed violence in his life, with the one singular exception of picking up a Trolloc sword and stabbing said Trolloc with said sword to save
a newborn child.
Yeah, in the last extreme moment of his life to save himself and a newborn child. He is kind of revered by Isla. She's just like, oh, look at you, you're learning, and violence doesn't stop till someone chooses. Oh, this is wonderful. And she is absolutely fucking shunning Aram.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it feels, and I understand that, there is like, someone can be redeemed and that's great to look to, but someone who makes a singular mistake who's raised in it and thus knows better is horrible. Yeah. But it still feels hypocritical. And I'm just like, dude is hard done by, in my book.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really glad they didn't have her say the same line of Lewin and his mom. I'm glad, because we didn't need to hear it. We saw it on her face. It was great that we didn't say it. But yeah, that's a really good point. I love this Aram. I've loved him since season 1. I'm so
Mhm.
excited he's back. I loved him and Perrin embracing.
Yes.
You
Yeah, that
know,
was really
that's
sweet.
it was
Yeah.
really sweet and really beautiful as peers, like not as, and I hope we don't get the puppy dog. I just hope we don't because
Mhm.
I don't think we need it and I think that it wouldn't be true to the character we've established in the show.
Well, and his path to violence was different in the books. In the books, yes, his caravan had just been attacked.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no threat at the immediate moment, and he chose to pick up a sword in that instance.
And
In the
said, I
book.
want to fight.
In this one, it was in the last defense of a child, a baby.
And only
So-
really because the sword was the dagger thing was there.
Yeah.
And a baby who couldn't run away. Like that's the thing
Right.
too. Is like Isla's thing is always, we run away. If we can't do anything, if we will stand for it, and then if we can't, we run away. And the baby can't run away.
Mhm.
So
No.
there was nothing other than, and that's what I think was also wonderful. It wasn't even like a kid who he could say run for the woods.
Right.
It was a baby who needed to be carried.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
It was really beautiful.
it was. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. And the Tinkers, just there was some funny stuff in there, like, Perrin told me you're vegetarian, so I picked out the bits. Don't worry, stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, that's not how how their vegetarian or vegan food works. But
We picked it all out.
you
Yeah,
tried.
we picked it all.
Thank
It
you.
was pretty funny.
Appreciate you trying.
Yeah.
Hila's
Yeah.
face when she said that, but also didn't Hila say, "Oh no, they feed the dogs. They let the
They
dogs.
do feed the
hunt.
dogs meat.
They
Yes,
let
they
the
do,
dogs
yeah.
hunt, but they don't eat meat.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
So I love Light Blinded Fool's comment.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we didn't do that. Shout out for Light Blinded Fool, new patron.
New patron, yay!
I did love his comment in chat. Show Aram deserves to retire in Emmonsfield, and show Watchers deserve to not get his book plot.
Yes, please.
100%.
Yes,
agree.
100%. Please and thank you. We don't need it. It's so lame.
Yeah.
We don't need it. And we also, you know
Yeah.
what? We are tying up some really important pieces of Perrin's book arc now that
Yes.
deserve to be tied up sooner so that he can step into the role of leader without all of the baggage of like axe hammer,
Well, and just-
piece. It can still be there a little bit, but I think we're
No, I
getting to
agree.
that. Yeah. And so the Aram is always a thorn in the side of Perrin not being able to decide who he is. And
Yeah.
Perrin's, I feel like, deciding who he is. And so we don't need Aram to be the guilt of
No,
Aram
he's-
picking up a sword.
He's already
I mean,
picked
and
up
that
the
is
axe and the
Yeah.
hammer. Like he's already doing both now. So he doesn't need.
I mean,
to
that
have
is that is probably why I don't like Perrin in the. And okay, I don't want to say don't like Perrin. I don't like reading.
She does mean
Perrin
she doesn't like Perrin. She doesn't like
in the
Perrin.
books because it's the same shit for like a million books, and it's just boring. So I like that we're like pushing the plot line forward, and we won't be having this shit hang over us till the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
I
just,
think I will like Perrin much. And again, it's
Yeah.
not that I don't like Perrin. It's I don't like reading Perrin is
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
If only we were
Yes.
recording this for posterity, like that.
Right.
Like, I mean, I heard Megan likes Perrin. That's what I heard there. So
I have to say too. I have to go back to the vegetarian food. Sherwood Manker says, "I'm a vegetarian," and I thought this line was hilarious.
Yes.
I picked out all the bits. I was reminded of a big faux pas in my life when I had a big party and I had a it was grilling. It was a barbecue thing, and I had a friend over. I had a friend there who was, she was Indian. She was like lifetime vegetarian, and cultural vegetarian. And I was like, yeah. I'm gonna cook your veggie skewers on this side of the grill. And she was like, where all the meat just was. And I was like, this is a long time ago. I was a baby child, people. This is like first party. But I was like, no, I'll do something different. Thank you. she just like very gently was like,
Please don't.
I would like to talk about some. We mentioned a little bit earlier with Bane and Sheehan and the comedy stuff. I want to talk about some other comedy that was in this episode that was just brilliant. I want to talk about Senbui and Maxim.
Yeah.
Give me a
That
two
was
rivers
fun.
longbow, and I'll hold that line all night, boy.
Yeah.
And just the way Maxim
great.
behaved, and
It was great.
And then it paid off, And, later on when Maxim was like, Two Rivers Longbow indeed,
Yes.
That was really
Yes.
fun.
And I also, again, this is just, look, a young writer, I even was like, okay, I want to see the next scene where Maxim watches them all drawing their bows. And then he
Right.
goes, wow, damn. But we didn't have time for that. We don't have
No.
time to go watch them train a different way, just like Senbui and all the other people in the city. We just needed to see it happen in action. And we got the moment with just when it mattered, with one line,
And
keeping
there was acknowledgement.
keeping it a little lighter in that moment.
Yeah.
So, there's,
Yeah,
I
because
just thought,
there was plenty dark in the episode, so,
Yeah.
the
yep.
lighthearted stuff. Yes, that was great. Bane and Chiad, I think we've already crossed most of Bane and Chiad's fun moments. And the other one for me was Maxim and Alana, when he's just like, boiled turnips from Turnip
Yeah, I
Valley,
know.
or-
That was so funny.
Or fresh figs. And she's like, oh, fresh figs. And he's like, yeah, here's the boiled turnips.
I
So
get
good.
figs.
And then he was like, no, I actually do have a fig. And he ate the whole fucking thing.
That's why she kissed him. She
Yes.
wanted to taste it.
Yeah. Just funny. But it was a nice warm up to the two of them sort of finding
Getting
their
over
own...
their grief a little bit.
Yeah. Getting over the grief a little bit and finding their own path together. And it was just, it was so sweet.
Yeah, when she was
So-
like, I don't remember if it was Alana or Maxim that said something like, let's start something new or build something new.
It was Maxim,
Yeah.
because she went
It
to do
was
something that
fucking perfect.
yeah.
Mhm.
She went
I
to do
was
something that Ivan
dead.
did, and he was like, "No, don't do that." And she's like, "But that's what I thought you liked that." And he's like, "No, because that's what he did. Let's find our own thing." And it was and it obviously didn't hurt. I'm sure for everyone watching that Taylor was topless at the time,
Never.
but it was just the two of them. It was so they found their peace together. Grief will still be there, obviously, but it's the thing. Yeah, Light Blinded Fool wanted honey cakes to be Alana's reason to go to the Two Rivers. I mean,
Yes.
if he'd been like boiled turnips or honey cakes, like there's
And then
a
he should have
distinct...
dropped trow for the honey cakes.
Oh my god, Megan!
new butt rock is honey cakes.
Wow. There is a distinct lack of honey cakes in Wheel of Time. It is a crime.
We got honey cakes in the White Tower, didn't we?
Honey cakes have been mentioned like once or twice. I think no, they got mentioned in Nynaeve's Archways.
Did
Oh, yeah.
Leandrin bring Matt honey cakes?
I thought
No,
maybe
I
she
don't
did,
think-
but I think she brought him something else.
I think she
Sweet
brought him something
cakes.
else.
She
Sweet
brought him
cakes.
sweet cakes or sweet something. I
Yeah.
think.
I would remember if there were actual honey cakes, because I'd be like, what do they look like? Do they look like the ones I've made? Do I need to change my recipe?
But is that what Lan was making in the trial, in Nynaeve's trial?
Yeah, but they didn't actually. Oh no, I think Elnor had honey cakes and she wanted more, and they were like, "How about you get ready for bed?"
Yeah,
And
it
she's
was something like that.
"Okay."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like the bonding moments between people and the humor was just great in this episode. So,
Yeah.
do we want to talk singing?
Yes. That was very wonderful.
Was anyone else scared that we were going to get one of Perrin's awkward speeches in that moment?
No, I was not, but I love that.
No, I didn't.
When he
no.
turned round, I was like, "Oh, he's going to give a speech now." And it's in television and cinema and movies and things like
Yeah.
and it's no one's fault, because sometimes it's the situation, sometimes it's the actor, sometimes it's the writing, sometimes it's a combination.
Yeah.
But they don't always work.
No.
You don't always get I am Maximus Decimus Meridius. You don't always get
Rings
that.
of Power, what's his
Or-
face dwarf giving this speech was painful for me to watch.
There
It
we go.
was.
So yes, I would argue that there are
Yeah.
a few you can point to. Maximus Decimus. There's Henry V.
Right.
The what you call it, like Kenneth Branagh. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And Aragorn, Not This Day.
Yes.
Mhm.
Not This Day.
Yeah.
But that's pretty short and sweet. I just
it is very
rewatched it
short
and
and
I was
sweet.
like, that's shorter than I remembered. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, there are other ones like, Mel Gibson with Braveheart, they can take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Yeah, there we go. Like Blind Fools just put in chat. We're probably all going to die, and I can't save everyone, but if you still insist on following, I guess I'll give it a try.
I guess.
Yeah. Like, I was concerned we were going to get a speech, and I was like, this is either going to land or it's not going to land. And we've already had a speech from Perrin that was deliberately designed not to really land because he's an awkward leader.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's not going to do the episode any good. And so I was very concerned.
Perfect the way it was.
Yeah. I was concerned the moment we would get that and it would cheapen the moment and take away from the episode. And instead, we got a callback to what? Episode 2 of season 1 or something?
102.
And 102, like... Just
well, and they even they kind of almost hinted to this as well when it was Bane and Chiad and Loial talking about King Aemon and then King Althorin and all of that. So that almost like was also bringing in the idea of Manetheren, and Alana's been mentioning it as well.
Yeah,
I loved Bane being like Althorin, like Althor. The car card. Like she was like, it was a really sweet moment of like, oh, maybe he's not a complete dink. Okay, cool. Like,
spit take,
Rob,
spit take from Rob.
All right, well, this is a great moment for people who actually happen to be watching. Sorry.
Did you literally just spit everything all over your room?
I didn't.
You saved it.
But I do have stout up my nose. I blindly thought that was worth the price of admission. It was because you said dink of all words. I don't know why, but that just got me straight. Okay. Yes, you were saying, Jen, sorry.
That was all I was saying. Was I just really loved Bane's. I just loved Bane's reaction. Good story, bro. Thanks. No, just that I loved Bane's reaction to being like, like, oh, maybe he comes. Maybe he's more than we thought he was. Like, yes. I just, we already know that Aviendha thinks he's a Yahoo, and we've seen Chiad be like, "Excuse me," when he says like, "I'm going to command you," So this was nice to finally get Bane's reaction to maybe he's not an idiot.
That was another fun moment actually between the two of them. You just reminded me when Perrin's asking the Tinkers to take the kids and be like, "We all know Tinkers are the fastest runners."
Oh yeah. But that also does bring something else to kind of tie them together, like genetically or biologically, is that they're good runners. They're both good runners.
Oh yeah.
Which
I love that.
So I think I was listening to Tarvalon After Dark, and I don't remember if it was Jenny or if it was Jess the Amarylline Seat that has kind of a theory that the Aiel are actually genetically modified humans in the Age of Legends.
Okay.
I mean, because they all have that similar, like genetic look. And they might be somewhat bred to be docile. And then, maybe they're bred to be physically fit. I don't know. Interesting.
Selective breeding, perhaps?
Yeah, that's really... Ew,
maybe this is how we explain, Rand and his husband having, children. Because they are selectively modified and bred, yes.
Yeah.
Petri dish babies.
Well, look, we can bring
Not
back
to get way off topic.
We can bring back direwolves now, so who says they can't,
Exactly. We could bring back Aiel.
Did we learn nothing from Jurassic Park?
I know.
Apparently not.
We did not.
We did not.
Oh my God, though. Really good point of Perrin saying, "I bet you're really good at running away, Aram," is what he says in Eye of the World in the book.
He does say that, yeah. So.
Yeah.
One thing that I did find interesting, after the battle's done and everyone has, run off, it felt like the following morning, it was like, just put everything
That's how
back
the Two
together.
Rivers folk do.
I know, but it was very clean. It felt very clean and tidy. There was not like, mounds of gore and bodies everywhere. Like, there would have been a lot of bodily fluids expelled that evening.
I feel like that is very book canon. Like it is like the two rivers immediately start to like we clean up, we move on, we do it. Like
You bury our dead and move on and on. What else is there?
Yeah, this is true. But on top of that, like now that I've rewatched it a couple of times, in later watches, because initially I was like, oh, it's got to be a few days later. Like everyone's feeling blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not. If you think about how late that went, okay, at some point the White Cloaks left, made it back to their camp, tidied themselves up, and turned back up at the village. Right, to collect Perrin and be like, hey, will you agree,
honor the
meet
deal.
out, honor the deal. That's it. I do actually think it's been a few days.
I think so too, especially because Alana looks significantly better too.
Yeah, everyone's clean. There's not I've not obviously seen an actual after battle, landscape.
Right.
Obviously, and I'm very glad that's the case, and I hope that we can go on with the world not having to see those sorts of things. That would be great if that could be a thing. But I have seen them in movies. They're not clean and tidy and dry. I mean, I'm literally looking at that scene right now on my second screen. The land they're all walking on, the earth is not sodden with bloods and guts and gore and everything else that will come out of a human body when they are all slashed and beat and scorned and set on fire and all those other things. That is clearly not the morning of.
And they've got to drag the Trollocs out of town to burn them and whatever. And so that's, you're right. That's I think it's a really good point. It has been a few days.
Yeah. But initially I was just like, that light blinded fool coming in with the most hilarious comments. All the blood washed downstream to Rand and Egwene's accepted test. My God. In the first watch, I was just like, oh, did they clean up already? That was fast,
Interesting.
It sort of hits me in later watches. I'm like, that's got to have been a few days later.
I didn't even think it was the next day. I was just in it. I was like, whatever, this is what's happening next.
So, but yeah, like them turning back up to collect Perrin when we've got Loial's voiceover quoting the end of the series.
That was, yeah. That was another. Again, I did actually drop a tear this time, but that was another moment where I got a little misty. So,
ladies and gentlemen, the Ice Queen is melting, and it took Loial dying to achieve that. Wait, when else did you cry?
I think it was with Loial when I heard the Horn of Valir theme, and I knew.
Okay, so you teared up twice just for Loial.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was for me. It was Weep for Manetheren. It was when not. It was.
Oh,
when
I
Perrin
definitely
sang
got misty for that for sure, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. There was no actual tear.
I love that you have a distinction between shedding a tear and crying, which is interesting because, like, I get choked up, but don't actually have tears shedding down my face, and you're like very distinctive about that. You're like misting versus crying, and yet you still consistently say that I actually cried at Universal Studios, and I didn't. Actually, there were no tears. I just got like misty and like he's mean, but I didn't actually shed a tear.
Is this scary?
Is this like a callback to our like second episode?
First or second episode, yes, it is. Yeah. It is a callback to that. But anyway, I just would like to point out that like I was like, you're gonna cry, and you're like, I didn't actually cry. And
I did have a tear roll down my cheek. I consider that crying.
All right, I consider getting choked up crying.
Yeah, like
it is. The water has to come out of my eyeball for it to be considered crying.
No, it has to run down your face to be considered crying, is what you mean.
Yeah,
because it has already come out.
Yes, that's true. Because I could have watery eyes. Yes, that's getting misty. I don't consider that crying. It's when it actually rolls down my face. Yes.
Right. Okay.
And it was a fat tear. It was a fat tear.
It was a yeah. Yes. Live Blind Fool said he had an eye malfunction when they sang. Yeah, it was great.
Eye malfunction.
But yeah, like just Loial's just the words he was saying, describing Perrin again with just such honor and quoting the end of the books and then saying my friend as opposed to Lord Perrin Goldeneyes. Yeah. Which don't call me that.
Well, he did say Lord Perrin Goldeneyes, and then he ended it with my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just it was just a perfect ending to the episode. Is Perrin? Are we going to deal with that in episode 8, or is that it? Are we leaving that to a season?
It's done.
It.
Yeah.
They're leaving us there for the season. They better. They better. There's way too damn much to do. And frankly, it is a better cliffhanger to leave us not knowing what's happening with him. And I do want to say something about that really quick too. Again, I loved the idea that he like quotes Isla again from episode 3 last season. He quotes Isla back to in front of her of it doesn't stop until somebody stops it. I love that he set that up ahead of time, which with Megan, I think you and I talked about this yesterday, but with I killed your dad out of my grief, and my grief killed your father, and your grief killed Natty. And like basically like not we're even, but like we need to stop. And until one person stops, it doesn't matter. And that being the reason he goes with them. If he had not gone with them, if there had been a loophole, like, well, you didn't actually fight, or you brought the Trollocs in, or if there had been a loophole, it wouldn't have honored that choice and that decision. And I loved him calling it back to, you told me I have to let you choose to fight. You have to let me choose not to.
Yeah.
However, I did love File's comment, like, you really must be children because you can't count. That was an amazing line.
It was fantastic.
It was good.
It was almost as good as my favorite line, which was, no, I'm not a big baby.
Yeah, that was good.
He's like, of course my father's scared. He's done battle many times. Blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. Are you scared? No, I'm not a big baby. You know?
I spit out what I was drinking in that moment. That was like, I think that was maybe my favorite line of the whole episode.
Yeah.
Loved that. But I think it's great. And I also think, again, like, we don't have the same kind of, so in the books, like Dane chases him for 14 books or whatever, 10 books. Dane chases him for 10 books.
Yeah, it's 14. It feels like 14.
It does feel like 14 on a completely wrong assumption that Perrin had anything to do with his dad dying at Fulham, which he didn't. So like this time he's actually responsible for his dad's death. Dane is, and then the other thing being that the
like
fake
unequivocally,
out,
like it's witnessed.
Yeah, and then in this, like, straight up, like the whole idea that that Perrin's family was killed not by the Trollocs, but by the White Cloaks, and it by being Padden Fane, and that moment at the last battle when Dane fesses up to that, is really powerful. But again, like everything's been like, it's sort of, that's like, I know, I guess whatever happened with my dad, whatever, but also like we've been lying to you for 14 books that your parents died from Trollocs. It was literally Padden Fane and the Bad White Cloaks who did it. And so to me, again, like I think we're just getting Dane and Perrin like connected now and over it and figuring that shit out at this point.
Yeah.
I hope.
I hope so too.
Yeah, the Dane Gallad vibes. That's what I was just going to say. Sherbert Mango said, "Can we talk about the Dane Gallad vibes?" And I'm like, I am a little bit of like that too. Is Dane going to step into the role of Lord Captain Commander in the way that Gallad does in the books?
You know, I'd be down for that.
I know.
But what does Gallad do?
He just
It'd be
kills
interesting
Valda.
if he
Valda
does.
dead.
Valda is so
Valda's
dead.
the Human Torch.
Yes, I mean, granted, here we go. We've just killed off another black guy, but
I know.
He was, honestly, I do think that they auditioned for Valda. He, did the audition, and they were like, "Damn, he's good."
Yeah.
You have to play that part.
You cannot cast anyone better in that role.
Yeah, he nailed that, and that was such a satisfying ending for what happened.
Yeah.
Where the girls were just like, for mother.
I
know Juliet wanted a different redemption arc than what she actually got in the show, which was still great, but she wanted something different. When she died, we chatted, and she's like, "I wish I got this instead." And I was like, this is kind of like, the girls can't see. A woman's literally laying on a bed with a giant Trolloc arrow through her belly.
Mm-hmm. And can't channel to save her at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And they can't channel to save her, but like Mom's murderer turns up and she's like, they're just like, boom, done.
Bitch!
Yep.
Yeah. And then they save Alana. So, that was banging. But yeah, I think Dane taking Gallad's point as Lord Captain Commander could definitely be a thing. I don't see him going evil and I suppose, taking Valda's spot in some way. I don't see him slipping that way.
I mean, we'll just really have to see how this thing with Perrin plays out, you know?
Well,
like,
what we don't have is more gays to be like,
right.
I'll be your judge.
Yeah.
Which
I'm not
whatever.
gonna lie, that was kind of dumb in the books.
It was
didn't
dumb in the
like
books. I hated it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it being that it was Galad who was, it was just like, whatever. I'm like very comfortable getting rid of that entire garbage. So that means, like, I mean, they have never mentioned the Dome of Truth in the show. Like, where does he have to take Perrin to, like, pass judgment? And
have there even ever been any mention of Amadishia?
No.
At all?
Not at all. They're just, as far as we know, they're just everywhere.
They're just like a what's the word I can't think of in Michigan? Militia. They're like
I was
a
gonna
militia.
say they're militia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say that was the most interesting way I've ever heard anyone say Amadisia?
I was what? Yeah. I was like, how did you?
I said
even say that?
Amadishia.
Amadisia.
Amadisia. I've always said Amadisia.
We added a few H's in there as well. You know, so Amadisia.
Well, when you say
Sean Connery.
appreciate is a CIA.
Yeah, Amadisia. I'm with you, Rob.
Okay. Third wheel again.
No,
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Yeah. In my book, if you know, when it comes to like fantasy names and things, if I can understand what you mean, it don't matter what you said.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, in these books, I mean, it's been really fun, I have to say, over the last several years with like the fandom, like actually saying these names out loud for the first time instead of like in chat on a forum and being like, you said what?
We know how to spell them, so you know.
I mean, and not to call him out on it. It was John, wasn't it? Who kept saying it was John who kept saying Tenchichko.
Tenchichko?
Yeah.
At the beginning, he did a whole
John from Wada.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He did a whole like in the early of the, and then he like came back later and he was like, I don't know, I just got it wrong in my head, and it was like Benedict Cumberbatch saying penguin, but penguin.
To be honest, like I was doing the other day, I was trying to say Sutama and I kept saying Tatsim, you know, the T went
I
first.
always mess up. Just so in my head it's Destang, but I know that's not what it is.
It's that saying, yeah.
Sang. Yeah.
Yes.
So I just mess it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I love our mispronunciations in the fandom.
It's good fun. It's good fun.
It is very good fun. I still say Galad. I change it every time I say it.
I do. All right, so
308. Let's 308.
Hold fire. Let's see if there's anything from this episode we've missed. You know, we've talked Tinkers. We've talked Lord Perrin, Goldeneyes, the humor. I thought we were going to lose Bane and Chiad at the gate.
I did too.
Oh yeah.
I was.
Can we talk about how that exploded?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was great.
Which is interesting. So like they always talked about, you can never destroy a Waygate, but if you basically destroy the bridge in which it's falling, that is a way to destroy it. So,
Yeah.
Well, and that is the gate. It's sitting on the island. It's sitting on that is the gate. You know.
Yeah.
Is what fell.
So and the other thing, Perrin showing Matt's sisters the horn, and that's sort of
that was
like,
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, looks like a sheep's bladder, you know, like you know, the Tudor boy or whatever, you know.
I saw light behind its full comment.
What's to say? Pretty sure Elaine was somewhere nearby unweaving something.
Yes.
Nukes.
Yeah. Yes. But I loved them being like, oh, we're never gonna let him live this down.
Yeah.
Like that was great.
Matt the bladder blower or something, you know. Like,
Yes.
Sheep tutor.
It looks like
Sheep
a sheep
tutor.
bladder.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So
was,
funny. They're not
that was
wrong
really
though.
fun.
It does look like a sheep's bladder.
It does,
Yeah.
I have one. I can see
I was
that.
gonna say you have it right behind you, don't you?
I do, yes. You can't see it on this because of how it slims up the cameras with the three of us, but yes. I
Right.
do.
Right.
So, okay.
If I pin you, I can see it.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
That's so if you want to see my horn, pin me.
And that's the audio clip.
Like
Use two hands though.
Could you see in my brain the moment where that thought just popped in there, and I took a pause, and I'm like, I'm saying it. So, at Megan's great insistence, and my
reluctance.
not reluctance, but like my actual reaction to it being like,
That's why I said you had to do it, because I watched it and I was like, ooh, this is good shit. We need to talk about this.
It is good shit. Folks,
Yeah.
at this stage, if you are listening on Wednesday and release day, and you're like, I avoid the previews for the next episodes.
Which we all used to do.
Which we all used to do, and apparently now we don't do. Or some of us don't do. Meg's never done that. Meg's like, I watch everything, you know. We are now going to be talking the preview for episode 308. So if you don't want to hear anything about that, this is your moment to stop listening to the podcast recording. Mark where you were, pause, and then after you've watched 308, you come back and finish listening to this. That's a requirement.
Because we have some good shit to say.
Because we're going to have good shit to say, I'm sure. If you have watched it, then you must finish listening to the episode. Obviously, that's a given. Meg, it was your idea that we do this.
Mm-hmm.
You can have first crack at it.
Jen, should we talk about our theory that we concocted on the way home from work the other day?
Yes, although apologies because Light Blinded Fool has already heard this theory because I gave credit to you, but I did talk about it last night in the after show.
After I fell asleep in the Discord of Tucker and
Riyadh. And then I was in the after show.
Jen called me and she's like, you need to leave Discord. You're still in there and you're the only one in there.
Did you actually? I've fallen asleep in some Discords, but
oh no, I
not since
talked
COVID.
about this. I think I'm borderline narcoleptic.
Well, and it was the end of a long week for you, and
Yes,
you know, like yeah.
Yeah.
But I did hit it, and I have to say that it didn't hit. No one was very interested in our theory. I still think we're 100% right on. So yes, we can talk about that really quick. First of all, I just want to say I was like, they're going to have to put something in the Perrin episode in Goldeneyes because we can't leave all of the threads that are hanging and wrap all of those threads up by the end of the season. We have to have the coup because we started the season with the White Tower thing. Like they've been building up to that coup. We have to have it. And then I was like, well, shit, we didn't get anything this episode. How are we possibly going to get it? And I was really worried that we weren't going to get the coup because I didn't watch it immediately after. I watched it like hours after. So when I watched it,
I literally watched it immediately after.
I love that. I love that. But so when we saw Swan, I wasn't going to until, well, I wasn't going to watch it until I was like, I know, I'm just going to be surprised. And then somebody online posted, is Nynaeve underwater? And I was like, fuck! So I watched it.
I saw people posting, I have a thread in the server for every episode, which I leave for 4 weeks after the season ends, and then we just have a single channel and that's it, and all those other things disappear. I saw people were putting comments in there immediately, and I was just like, okay, I need to go look just in case, but without like actually look. I basically just looking to see if they're regular folks or if they're spam messages, if a bot slipped in or something.
Right.
And I saw like something, and I was like, get back out the episode channel, it's fine, done. And then
Run away!
yeah, kind of. And then someone put in like the TV show Full Spoilers channel, which is just like our generic discussion, something about it, and I had to go in and like delete it because I had to go read it and delete it. I was like, oh, I'm kind of like,
Oh no.
but it didn't actually spoil the preview for me.
Yeah.
And I do apologize because oh no, he's gone. The Void was staring at me, quite upset because it's 46 minutes after his usual feeding time and I didn't set up the feeder. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Well, we will jump in. So Megan and I came to the same theory. The first half of the theory, we both like came to it literally, like we were, at the same time we were talking to each other on the phone. We both were like, yeah, like kind of finishing each other's sentences. We were like, you know, had the same idea. So Meg, you can start us off and then I'll add the second half of it.
So we were trying to think of, so we clearly see some battle going on with Moraine and Lanfear. And I'm like, are they going to kill them or are they going to get through the door? I'm like, okay, let's just go with like, we want them to go through the door. How are they going to get through the door? So we started like workshopping how they're going to get through the door.
And all season I was like, it's just not, that's not going to happen. Like they're not going to go through the door frame. Like we're going to not know, like it's just going to be something different. So then how are they going to bring Maureen back if they're going to bring her back? And like, I've been like, I'm not quite sure, but I was like, they can't go through the door frame. We know there's not one in Ruidian. That's not how it's going to happen. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So then we talked about, well, Moraine's got Sakarnan. And Lanfear, maybe even because she's definitely wielding the true power because it's all the black stuff. She's wielding the true power. She may feel that she needs some Angreal to support her against Moraine with Sakarnan. Where are there a bunch of Angreal? In the 13th Depository.
So we both got to the 13th depository, but I didn't know why they were going back there. And Meg was like, because she needs another, because Lanfear needs a bigger Angreal. She needs something else from there. I like that.
Okay. So Lanfear opens some gateway to go to the 13th depository. Moraine throws herself through or somehow like holds it open or something and like follows her through.
We have the moment of Rand flying through Asmodean's gateway in the books. So I love the idea of she's like, throws herself through the gateway and follows her back. Now, I have been saying all season that we were going to get Moraine's death at the same moment of Swan's stilling / Swan like losing everything in the tower, because I feel like, and I think I even theorized early on, I'm like, maybe they're actually bonded from their marriage vow and they'll feel each other die, and that will be part of either how Swan gets stilled or how Maureen, like whatever. I think like maybe those things will be connected. So when Megan was like, they're going to be in the 13th depository, Megan and I at the same time said, and I think you said this too, that Swan and Lyanna would be in the 13th.
No, that was you. You
okay,
said
that was me. Mm-hmm. So that if Swan and Lyanna are thrown into the 13th depository after they've been
because that's
stilled,
where they throw prisoners, apparently.
The dungeon. That's where they throw the prisoners. So they're in there. Lanfear travels in. Moraine shows up. And so in the moment when Moraine is about to push Lanfear through the thing, she looks at Swan. They see each other, and she sees Moraine's death of her going through the redstone doorway, which then melts into oblivion, and she's gone forever. And it's a very Harry Potter, like, the door frame thing. But I'm like, I want to get them back into the 13th depository, connect Al-Kardal and the White Tower story in some way.
Because
or connect Lanfear
let's
and
also
Moraine.
say this, and I didn't mention this when we talked before. Daniel Henney was doing some interview, and he said there were a lot of like interchangeable cuts between like different battle scenes. So I think this lends credence to our theory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what Megan.
Rob is not on board.
Oh, Swan has to call her back, or she won't be able to go to the tower. How do we get that?
That's
happening?
a good point, Limelight. Before she's banished from the tower itself.
Yeah. But all she has to do is yell, "Moraine, I need you," or "Moraine." Like, if
she could jump through without knowing that she's gone to the tower.
That's true.
Running with your idea here,
yeah,
to get around that, if you jump through a gateway, you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know you're breaking a vow until you're physically there.
Right.
The only thing would be like, how does the vow kick in? Does she physically have to try and jump and run away?
Yeah.
Or like could she be compelled to run out the room or something? I don't know.
If Swan yells, "Maureen," as she getting stilled or something, like, just because, like, that could be her calling her back. Mm-hmm. Also, she's not the Emerald anymore at that point. So
but
I don't know what that does.
She
Swan.
swears to obey Swan Sanche.
She didn't say Emerald.
Yeah, I think she just said Swan Sanche, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
the Emerald. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Sorry. Wait a minute. We have, oh, fuck. Lanfear's back. She's in the 13th depository. Swan is completely powerless. And Lanfear's like, I'm going to fuck her up to fuck you up, Moraine. And that's what Moraine does. That's how Moraine pushes her through the doorframe or whatever. And Min's viewing in season 1.
About the Amerlin
that the Amerlin is
gonna being your downfall.
Will be your downfall. I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, we maybe saw that already in last season, but
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Okay. For me, the bit that I buy most of it. Okay, I like most of it. The bit for me is Lanfear needing the Angreal or Sangreal or something like that. Like, Naomi's kind of cleared out the 13th depository, bar the doorway.
I think she grabbed mostly Dream Terangriel and just the Balefire Rod.
But even if she hadn't, you ain't gonna throw 2 prisoners in there, even if they're stilled. You ain't gonna throw in 2 Aes Sedai into that room and leave magic trinkets in there.
They just did. They did with the Black Aja.
It is where
they
Joya
were in there, but I
Amiko.
didn't see anything in there. Like, there's nothing displayed or whatever. What I'm saying is, like, yes, if you're going to use it as a prison, fine. But
it does not
But
make
if
sense
they're
to-
already stilled at that point, there's no danger.
But
Okay.
but Amiko and Joya were not stilled.
No,
They
I'm
were,
pretty
yes.
sure actually they were.
They were stilled.
Yeah.
But it's not just about danger of them like using it or whatever. Like, you know, who's to say they don't break them or steal them or anything of that nature? Like, I know they're pretty tough to break, but you know, no one in the show knows that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they could put them back in afterwards, but it just, I don't know, it seems silly. It was a silly place to keep them anyway in my book, Amiko and Joya. I just don't see Lanfear being like, oh, I need an Angreal. I know where I'll go, the secret place in the tower that I've never been in or hung out in or done anything in so far.
Okay, what if
We brought Life Blinded Fool to our side now.
Thank you. I have another.
Or do you mean it's too plausible, like it's not going to happen?
Or here's the next thing. All right, maybe it's not Lanfear who goes there. Maybe Moraine, in wielding the Sarkhanen, is strong enough.
No, you have to know how to weave traveling weave.
She can't.
Okay, I'm
in the
sorry.
books.
Yes, finish your
Let
thought. I
go,
apologize.
and
I'm
also
sorry.
let go of book canon. I mean, I still want Egwene to discover traveling. Like, I really want that. But I also think Moraine has been traveling through a terangrial forever. Like, we know that. Like, and so is Swan. Like, there's a travel terangrial. So there might be some aspect of her understanding it or watching Lanfear do it. She now has a Sarkhanen. She has
still
enough
can't
power.
go.
But why would she go though?
Because
she can't.
No,
Swan
she can't.
calls her.
She can't because of the oath. You're right.
Because Swan calls her. Swan
but
calls
how
her.
does she know Swan calls her?
It doesn't matter. If Swan calls her back, the oath falls off. I mean, if Swan calls her home,
the oath applies like, you know, the
it's
oaths
only
of, like,
your consciousness. Yeah.
No. It's yes, that's true with the not being able to lie. But this is an oath. They talk about when an oath hits you and you feel it on your body, like you feel it holding you together.
No.
If Swan calls her home,
now you're just losing me.
No, I'm not. Someone in chat back me up.
No, you're losing me now. You can't have Swan, however many hundreds or thousands of miles away, would ever been like, Moraine, I release you from your bond.
I release you
this
from
is
your
not,
oath.
You're
this is
ruining
not,
our theories. Stop it.
This is not Pirates of the Caribbean and
Maybe the
Khaleesi,
oath
okay?
rod is in the 13th, and Swan grabs it before she gets still.
To do
But
what?
Moraine won't know.
Moraine needs to hold the oath rod to have it removed
Also,
from her. To remove an oath, you must be holding the oath rod.
Yes, but also
This is established.
If Swan is still, does that dissipate the oath?
No, because the oaths will apply to someone whether they can channel or not. They used to
I
use
haven't
it
figured
as a
it all
form.
out yet. I haven't figured it all out yet. Just put them in the 13th depository. I want their eyes locked as Moraine falls through the thing.
Look, I like I say, I like most of it. I just don't see Lanfear going to the 13th depository specifically to get herself a Sangreal to fight Moraine.
I'm not
I
sure
don't.
about that.
I think so because she feels she wants a Karnan and she feels like she can't go up against.
Are you
Karnan.
telling me she doesn't have anywhere else that she could go and grab an Angreal or have one already or anything like that?
Well,
I think that's where she knows one is probably.
Then why
But
would she
that's
not
why-
already have grabbed it?
and that's why I'm saying that if Moraine goes back with the Sarkhanen, Lanfear's going to follow her because she wants it. And Moraine goes, she's like, I'm going to lure her away from Rand. I'm saving Laren's life and protecting him, as she says in the trailer.
Well, and she
I'm gonna
saw
lure her
all the
away.
futures, so maybe she saw them going
She sees
through
the
door
redstone
frame.
doorway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I could see her going back to Tarvalon. She's been there. And then maybe during the chasing process, I don't know, it's going to be if she's being chased by Lanfear, how is she going
Swan's
to
there
find out?
and calls her. She comes because she can hear her across leagues and leagues. Moraine,
Alright.
come home. All she has to do is say,
She's-
Moraine,
she's-
come home.
But
and it's
Moraine
released.
needs to hear that.
Moraine may not be trying. She might just be going where, I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, that's not
And why
how,
wouldn't Swan call her home? She
that's not
needs
how bonds
allies.
work. That's not
She
how
needs-
bonds work.
She-
That's not how the
This
oath
is a
rod
new
bonds
bond
work.
we've never even seen before. We don't even know how it works. She's gonna call her. Oh, wait. Light Blinded Fool just dropped something that is a really fucking good point.
Okay.
Elida has a connection to the Finns.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. So she knows what that redstone doorway down there is. So Elida may be involved in this moment in some way.
Elida pushing them both through. Okay. Maybe if if Swan wrote Moraine a letter saying I release you from the vow of exile or something like that without telling anybody, and then that is revealed, I will buy her going back there. I can buy her being in Tarvalon. I do not buy Lanfear needing an Angreal and going to the 13th depository. Because if she
I feel like
got
that's
the
the
true power
linchpin
anyway.
of this whole
no, no, no,
It's
no.
not though. It was the piece I was missing, but I've decided that Moiraine's traveling back, so it's fine.
Fair. Yeah,
And they're
like-
going to be on a skimming platform, and then Loial's going to fall on the skimming platform, and Loial is saved.
Where did you come from? I've been falling
Thanks.
for days.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
It was rather hasty of me to destroy that bridge, but I'm glad you were here to catch me.
Thank you.
People would be so pissed. I would be pissed. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Anything
like-
else from the trailers? So Megan and I had to drop that. We got very excited, but I think there are bigger and more important things happening in the teaser.
There's a
even that.
balefire rod being woven about.
Which looks like Mace Windu dropped by to say
Yeah.
hi to Tom
Right,
and Elaine.
yeah,
You
right.
know? I
Loving
literally
it.
looked, I was like, that looks like someone from Star Wars just,
Yeah.
you
Love
know,
it. Love it.
stopped by or something. It was.
I
it was
had
good
a
fun.
horrible, horrible thought when I saw Tom saying to Elaine, run. I'm like, no, Tom's going to get balefired, and the only thing that's going to be left is his hat, and then Matt wears his hat.
Do you know
I
what?
don't want Tom to die. Please
we're gonna
don't
kill off
Tom.
people-
We just got him back.
If we're gonna kill off people, I don't think that's a terrible way for Tom to go. But also, Matt wearing his hat for the rest of the series is a nice tribute.
And
I
we've
don't
already seen
want
Tom
Tom
say
to
run.
go
We've already
away.
seen Tom say run.
Yeah, Tom's
and
already
protect
done the
people.
run thing,
He's here.
so yeah.
He's here. He's in it. He's in it to win it.
I have a theory.
Uh-huh.
Yes, please.
And just from fun and games of watching it, and it's nothing I saw in it that makes me think this, other than I think it could be hilarious because I still think Matt and Myra is Asmodean the Eighth Forsaken.
Julian?
So I think actually no, there was something in the episode in the preview that made me think it. So Rand, and it could have been edited out of context because we know they've done that to us. But obviously in the preview, Rand says to Lanfear, "You're a monster." And he absolutely could be saying afterwards, "But I'm a monster too, and it's okay."
Right.
You know, he absolutely could do that. But
I don't think so.
what if she took that and was just like, "I've lost you, now I'm going to fuck with you and take your army away from you," and so on and so forth. And she's the one who puts the double dragons on Couladine.
It's possible.
Yeah? That's
I mean,
what
I think she's definitely going to go off the rails for sure after. I mean, you even see like the change in her face. Like,
Yes.
and
Yeah, you see
I
the change in her
just
face.
want to see a human skin balloon. That's all I want from episode 308. I want to see somebody's skin flying around and her like not saying who the fuck is Avienda, but like that moment. Like,
Yeah.
I want that. I want to see her lose her mind.
Yeah, I do think she's going to lose her mind. I love this
Yeah.
image. Someone shared it from the still. I'm going to put it up on the camera here. Of like channeling what I'm going to assume is the true power.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, which just looks. I mean, look at her face there.
Yeah.
Just she's reveling in that moment.
In that last shot, it looks like she has Lan's sword and is pushing it towards Maureen.
Oh god.
Oh shit! Yeah, does a little bit.
Oh, apologies for dropping that here.
She does kill Moraine with a sword very often. Imagine if
Often.
she's killed with.
Oh,
Imagine
have
if
we
she's
gone back to
killed-
look at the swords in that scene? Is it Lan's sword?
It could be. I feel like I need to like go.
Oh my god, why have we not done that?
Let's do this.
Oh,
then.
Light Blinded Fool says it is Land's sword. Oh god.
Thank you.
There
Oh,
we
God.
go. Someone's.
Oh god.
So she gets
Oh,
killed with Lan's
There's
sword.
so much
Yeah.
trauma. No.
What?
No,
Oh
no,
my
no.
god! What if they kill Lan? What if she?
I
kills
wondered
Lan?
No.
about that.
They won't kill Land.
They won't kill Lan.
No.
There's something very divisive in this episode. I mean, Loial's
Yeah, but
very
I don't think so.
divisive.
I don't
No.
think so. I think the shock death that he mentioned at New York Comic Con fucking 4 years ago. I think the shock death that people were like, did what in season 3 that we all thought maybe he was talking about Maureen because it
Is
was people who
Loial.
is loyal. I think
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I think that. I'm comfortable with that. But then there's also shocking stuff in episode 8, which I also have a theory about the Forsaken shock in episode 8 that he mentioned something about.
All right. Well, go spill.
Well, okay. So we haven't talked about so Tanchico. I mean, there's so much happening. There's White Tower, there's Al Cardal, and there's Tanchico, and they're going to have to dovetail those three together. And I do think in some ways the doorways will be part of that. I think the doorways and Matt falling through the doorway or whatever, and then Maureen in the doorway. I think we're going to get double doorways. I do, but I think and things happening simultaneously as we're cutting back and forth and watching like what these things mean. But I do think that the bracelets, we haven't talked about the bracelets. The girls have to get the bracelets back. We'll talk about Nynaeve in a minute because
Rob has
like
just had a
Nynaeve-
thought too.
yes, he did. But I think if the girls get the bracelets back, I don't think we're necessarily going to get Doman, but maybe it's Tom, and maybe Tom will die in a different way, Meg. Maybe it's Tom who says, I'll get rid of the bracelets and the necklace. I know a good place, deep place in the ocean or whatever. But I think there's a possibility that the very last image that we get, like Moghedien from last season, I think it's possible that the tag at the end is Semiraj picking up the bracelets.
Oh, I would love that.
That's a good one.
The bracelets in the
Or
collar.
maybe not, maybe a mystery for the show watchers, but like some kind of weird moment for book readers. And it's not, we don't know that it's Semiraj picking up the bracelets, but maybe it is someone like, and I know we don't think that it's Savannah, but, Savannah? Who do we think Savannah was? Did we think Savannah was
Grendel.
Grendel.
Grendel is one of the.
But like,
theories.
imagine
I don't know
if
I agree with that, but
yeah, that's fair. But imagine if it was like, for some bizarre reason, Savannah picking up the bracelets. And we're all just
Interesting.
like, but the bracelets end up with Semiraj. They don't end, Anyway,
Interesting.
the thing I really had, I have an idea about how they all end up with doorways and shit like this now.
Okay, great.
okay.
So, imagine if you want to get Swan back to the tower, there's a doorway in the tower. There's a
Wait,
doorway
Swan
in
or
Tanchico.
Moraine?
Sorry, Moraine. You want to get Moraine back to the
Okay.
tower, back to Swan. There's a tower in Tanchico, and there's a tower in. There's a doorway in Tanchico
doorway?
and a doorway in the tower.
Okay.
Yes. So and we need to dovetail these three places together, in effect. What if we get how Rand chases Asmodean through gateways and things like that, and he does obviously to
And
Bilal,
follows him
whoever
with the
else.
skimming platform, right?
Yeah, follows him with skimming platforms and things. Why don't we have a moment where Lanfear runs off and Swan, Moraine chases her. Jesus Christ, I keep mixing up names. Chases her, and we
Skimming?
end up maybe skimming, maybe some sort of traveling, because with the Sarkhanan she has more power, so maybe she can then use a gateway, because she'll be able to see what Lanfear's doing. She just might not be able to replicate it because she doesn't have the same power.
It depends too if she uses the true power or Saidar to.
Or
weave
maybe
said
she uses
gateway.
Saidar initially, but I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe we could have them sort of running through stuff, and they end up in Tanchico. All right, but then they go through the doorways, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe the
Ooh.
doorways, like, you fall through. It's like falling through one and ending up in the other, rather than staying with the thing. You just get bumped out the other. I don't know, but if you want to dovetail them together, having some overlapping moments where they're popping back and forth because they're traveling
Do we
or something of that
also?
nature.
I also wonder. So
Maybe that's
if
too
we're
much.
assuming
I
Matt
feel like
goes
this is
through
too
the
much now.
if we're assuming Matt goes through the doorway in Tanchico, and we know he definitely gets gifts because he gets the Foxhead medallion. Elida
Yes.
has also seemed to go through the gateway and gotten a gift in the form of a bracelet.
Yeah.
So do we think that the doorways are really just two entrances to the same dimension,
Yes.
and that you can get either like you can get gifts, but you could potentially get answers as a gift
Yeah, I
instead
think
of
you
having
get-
like two separate like doorways leading to two different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the doorways both have a snake and a fox on them.
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
both. I think you get through, and depending maybe which one you meet depends on whether you get answers or you get gifts. Or it's both.
Right. Right.
You know,
That could be
maybe-
it. You could go
maybe
in
it
and
turns out
ask for
to-
answers or ask for gifts.
Yeah, and it's just like you get one or the other or something like that. But yeah, like maybe they could all end up together like that. I mean, now I'm suddenly thinking about some of Moraine's visions, and like Land gets set on fire in the tower. So now I'm really scared that happens.
Lan will be fine. We have to have the golden crane at the end, and he has to be with Nynaeve. They will not. I feel very okay. Now I feel like I'm jinxing it, but I feel very confident that Lan is going to survive this season.
Okay, episode 29, folks.
Oh
Quote.
God, I've done it. I've doomed him.
He's doomed. I don't know. It's how they get together is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
There's definitely got to be some form of traveling or something going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, either that or they just have the same actions going on in the same place. Like, you don't have to have them altogether.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy. I don't know. Whatever happens.
No,
Wait,
no. It's
what?
not. It's not.
Oh.
It's not. I'm pretty sure it's Melindra.
People think it's Melindra. Could be.
I think it's Melindra.
Beer Meese better not die. I'll be pissed.
I know our Mies would be happy about that because she's not a fan because she's like you could have had a Mies the whole time.
Yes.
So
It is the cheekbones though. There are some cheekbones there. They're
yeah,
putting
there are
towards
cheekbones there. A breaking of block with Nynaeve underwater.
Yeah, I
Yes.
definitely think that's happening.
And they've been setting it up. It has to. I was saying this like she was so OP in season 1 that you
Yes.
had to give her like bring her back down from that, which they do in the books. I mean, it's not like they deviated from that in the books. But I also think that you cannot wait. I mean, whether or not we're even getting Abu Dar, but you cannot wait any longer. Like,
Yeah.
you just can't wait any longer. It's my 15-year-old keeps being like, "Is Nynaeve going to get through that block?" Like, you know. And now that we have the Forsaken in the world, she's not OP. Like, you know, we have people who can challenge her. She's not so far above and beyond everyone else that we don't have anything to worry about. If she gets her powers back, she can just do whatever she wants because she's going to be absolutely challenged by other channelers. So I think, you know, I think that it's really, it's time and it's perfect and we need to have it because we started the season with her standing there in the middle of a battle, unable to do something. And now we're going to have her. So let her go through the doorway and show back up in Tarvalon and kick some ass. Just saying.
I like it. I'm super pumped about it though.
Me too.
Like that left me so excited.
I cannot wait.
I don't think I've ever
I'm
watched.
still debating if I'm going to watch it at 3 a.m. or not.
It's the
I'm
grand
debating.
finale though.
And then go to
I know.
school to teach.
And then work.
I'm
the next
debating
day.
about whether I can get the day off work. To be honest, I'm debating. Saying it must be like. I think I need the day off work.
I
It's the
definitely
season
can't take the
finale.
day off work since I'm going on that chaperone trip. So if I'm doing it, I'm just gonna have to work the next day. So
Oh, good thing from Light Blinded Fool. I did miss this. Rand yelling at the Aiel they have to follow him or die. Like Rand is clearly going out on the full, you know, because you see him telling Ruark and Ruark's like, oh no, that's not known to everyone. You can't just share that. And then he's screaming it and clearly channeling to cause it to rain in the Freehold land.
and
Like
get that
that's
bowl filled. Yeah,
that's quite a change of attitude because he very peacefully reveals that knowledge.
Yes. But I think now I'm not sure if that's coming out of him. So Ruark is like, you can't tell them, they're not ready for it. I wonder if Rand is trying to not tell them. And they're like, no, we all think that it's like we think that it's Couladin because he was here first. He convinced us he's Aiel. We're ready to follow him.
That's kind of what happened in the books.
No, it does. And then I think if Rand then says, you know, like I've seen it, I've seen the rings, I've seen the future. Like if you turn your back on me, you'll die.
Rand hasn't seen the future.
No, sorry, no, he hasn't seen the future. You're right, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is. He hasn't seen the future, but I feel like there might be something that he doesn't know, or maybe Moraine saw something that he needs. But if you turn your back on me, you'll die. If you know, to me is like he does know something, some prophecy that he's telling them, and maybe that doesn't work.
I think
then,
that's
then he shares.
That the one they
and then
talked
he
about
shares
in the
their
beginning
history.
with the people of the dragon? Like the Stone of Tyr won't fall until the people of the dragon come.
no.
Yeah,
I
but
think
He needs Calendar.
I think that the you'll die comment comes from the Latra scene where it's like a remnant of a remnant he shall save. I think he's just remembered that line. He's like, if you don't, I am actually the Karakan, and if you don't follow me, the Aiel don't survive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that Rand just gets arrogant and says, no, this has to happen. Maybe Couladin's run off.
Well, he does think he is the creator.
Well, I also think.
True.
Yeah. I also think that part of what they're doing is paying off. I mean, Rand screaming basically bow to me
Yes.
is, I think we are getting a payoff to Egwene. Like and we see, and I know that in a trailer you never know if we're seeing those things in sequence,
Right.
but I think Egwene, the look on Egwene's face of like, oh fuck, like we just saw him almost go mad trying to bring Alcera back. I saw him go mad I saw him fully mad in my test, and now he's screaming and yelling the same kind of way. like, do I need to do something? Like, what do I need to, and what's going on? So I think that they are playing that up to the moment of like making us wonder if Egwene is gonna.
Oh God! Imagine if they had like some big fight with the power right at the end, and that was the controversial thing.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I can't wait! Oh my God! It's gonna be so good.
Yes, it is going to be awesome.
But I'm excited for. I think Megan thinks that they're channeling against Samael in that room, but I think they're setting a trap for Lanfear. That they're setting up something like in that room where she's dreaming,
the
and they're
room,
like,
yeah.
everybody's like, yeah.
Well, when
we
they're
gotta
almost
catch
all
her.
like linked, or they're all channeling or something.
Yeah, and then it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Around
It
the
does-
rug that
around
Rand
the
and
rug.
Egwene are laying on in the trailer that we have not seen that scene.
We have not seen that moment yet. That is true.
And then
yes.
Moraine is like, it doesn't work, and Moraine steps out and she's like, if we underestimate her, we all die.
Yeah.
Or whatever she says. Like, she's
God,
like,
can I just point out, I've been watching this and realizing, hey, there's some real moments in the trailer that we have not seen yet,
I
that
know.
Yeah.
we did not put when
Which
we
I
did the
don't
timeline.
entirely trust though, because we saw Egwene in the rainbow colors in the trailer, so I don't entirely
True,
trust.
yeah, maybe
if
some
we
of
saw
them
it
didn't
in the
make it
trailer.
into
We
the
might just
episodes.
never see
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. That's so true.
Yeah.
All right, I
right,
am
all
pumped.
right.
I am
Yes.
pumped for Thursday.
Me too.
Thank you to everyone who's hanging out in live chat. We've got
It
Like
is
Minded
fun.
Four, we've got
Thank
Sherbet
you so
Mango, TB80's been here, Sharon's here, and I'm sure there's someone else who's
Like Blind
Mom's
Fool.
here.
No, I
Mom's here
mentioned-
too. Like
yeah, I
Blind
You
Fool.
said Sharon.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
We just
yeah.
don't
Oh,
call her Sharon. We call
I
her
know.
Mom.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mom, TB80, Like Minded Fool, Sherbet
I-
Mango,
I did
and
tell
someone
David
else.
not to join.
Ashikova. And
Okay.
Ashikova.
Yeah, and Ashkova, yeah.
I told David not to join today because I was like, we are going to spoil things. I was like, well, you can join for the beginning, but
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out. Folks, if you want to hang out and live chat with us on Saturdays, next Saturday will be our last weekly recording. After that, we'll go back to our 2 weekly schedule, but we record at 11 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. And
And I
it's a
have
lot
been
of fun.
pushing Rob to do Bluey reactions, and I want to be a part of that as well.
Yes.
Afterwards, yes.
Post season 3 of The Wheel of Time, I will be doing reactions to other episodes and things on my YouTube channel. One of those will be Bluey. One of those will be The Last of Us season 2, and then there's some others in there that I need
Oh,
to
did
work
that
on.
start?
I think that
No,
like
it's
comes
not
out.
yet.
No, it comes out like next week or something.
Okay, so I don't have HBO right now. So
I mean, I haven't finished season 1, so you know, I still have toe there. Anyway, if you want to do that, folks, hop over to Patreon. The link is in the description, and you can join us up there and listen on Saturdays.
Ashikova, tell your fam thanks for
Yes,
thanks for
yeah.
for letting you listen while you had dinner with your fam.
Ashikova's been listening during dinner, so I appreciate that. But yeah, please follow us on Blue Sky. It is threewheeling.malkidtalks.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, which is 3.wheeling. If you want to follow us individually, our links are in the show description. And if you're hanging out on YouTube, throw a comment down there and let us know what you thought of our loony theories, crazy ideas, and all those things.
Jen's extremely loony theories. Let's
Yes.
just put that out there.
You know, the Bigfoot theories. You know, we went Bigfoot. We're Bigfooting this
said-
You
week.
need to
You
change
said
your
think
handle
outside
at the
the box.
bottom, Jen, to just say Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
That's
Y'all know what I
hilarious.
mean.
1 episode to go.
And then the
Ugh.
longing begins.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and on a side note, I feel really good about not just getting a season 4 green light, but I think they would negotiate. I've heard tiny rumblings from, you know, a couple of places that they're not just like trying to go for a season 4 renewal, that they're trying to do like a 2-season contract renewal.
I kept hearing something about like a 3-season.
That's what they did
contract
initially.
thing.
There was like a 3-season
Okay.
contract for it initially, but I think I've heard tiny rumblings, you know, of like, or hints of things of like a 2-season renewal negotiation in the process, which I think is you know, that there's nothing wrong with that. Fingers crossed for that. But I definitely feel we're getting season 4.
Yep.
So, but yeah, one more on Thursday. I think it's going to be an absolute banger, folks. Pour one out for Loial, and we will see you next time.
And Daisy Conger.
And Days Conga, yes. So,
Yes.
yeah. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye!
Bye. Once again, we've proven that even when you're the third wheel,
You can always find a place to fit in.
Join us next time
On Three Wheeling.
on 3-wheeling.
on Free Wheeling.